Victims of the Texas church shooting. Slideshow by Reuters. With the slaughter of 26 people at a Texas church on Sunday, two of the deadliest mass shootings in American history have taken place in the span of just over a month, and experts said these types of cases have gotten deadlier in recent years. If we look at, say, the top 7 in terms of how deadly they've been, 5 of the 7 deadliest have been in the last 10 years, said Grant Duwe, a noted criminologist who is the author of Mass Murder in the United States: A History. Duwe, who is also the research director for the Minnesota Department of Corrections, said that while the rate of mass public shootings has not really increased in the past few decades, these cases have recently gotten more severe, both in terms of the number of victims and in total number of victims shot. The 5 incidents on the list of the 10 deadliest mass public shootings include last month's shooting at a music festival in Las Vegas, 58 victims; the 2016 nightclub shooting in Orlando, 49 victims; the 2007 Virginia Tech shooting, 32 victims; the 2012 shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, 27 victims; Sunday's church shooting at Sutherland Springs, 26 victims. Duwe said his research revealed a grim statistic. With 94 victims killed so far this year, 2017 has been the deadliest year for mass public shootings in American history. He said, Image. At least 20 people killed, 24 injured after mass shooting at Texas church. Law enforcement officials gather near the First Baptist Church following a shooting on November 5, 2017 in Sutherland Springs, Texas. That research defines mass public shooting as 4 or more victims killed with a firearm in a 24-hour period in a public location that is absent or other criminal activity, such as gang violence or robbery. Duwe said his research details such incidents spanning back to the year 1900. Related, Air Force failed to report church gunmen's convictions. The FBI has defined mass murder as the killing of 4 or more people within one event, according to a Congressional Research Service report. It's difficult to deny the fact that there has been an increase in the severity of mass public shootings, with the incident that occurred yesterday, Sunday. Duwe added, Image. Reported shooting at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Concert gears run from the scene at the Route 91 Harvest Country Music Festival after a gunman opened fire on October 1 in Las Vegas. What statistics show? According to experts, the United States also has more mass public shootings than anywhere in the world, according to criminology professor Adam Lankford, who wrote a recent study on mass shooters and firearms spanning 171 countries. Lankford said his statistical analysis looked at a variety of factors, including mental health, firearm ownership rates, homicide rates, suicide rates. It's a mathematical model that decides what's important, and in this case it was far and away the firearm ownership rate, which explained why some countries had more mass shooters than others. He said, Related, Texas church shooter may have been targeting his mother-in-law. The study concluded that the United States and other nations with high firearm ownership rates may be particularly susceptible to future public mass shootings, even if they are relatively peaceful or mentally healthy, according to other national indicators. Lankford said it was pretty disturbing that 2 of the nation's deadliest shootings had happened within the last 35 days, and while motivations varied in mass public shootings, research and evidence left behind by gunmen in previous cases showed these shooters do influence each other. I guess what a lot of average citizens would wonder is, are they connected? Is this an aberration that we've had these 2 shootings in such short proximity of each other, or not? He said. Lankford noted examples where gunmen had left manifestos writing that they had been influenced by previous mass shooters. For example, more than 30 subsequent shooters cited the landmark 1999 Columbine High School shooters as a source of inspiration, he said. So the concern is each one of these individuals who commit such a deadly attack could be a role model for future attackers, and of course that can explain why things could get worse in terms of America, he said. America has more potentially deadly role models than it did 2 days ago. Image. Mass shooting at gay nightclub in Orlando. Agents investigate near the damaged rear wall of the Pulse nightclub on June 12, 2016 in Orlando, Florida. A SWAT team broke through the wall during the police operation to enter the club. Sherry Towers, a research professor at Arizona State University who has also studied the spread of contagious disease in populations, published a study on contagion in mass killings and school killings after she noticed reports of 3 school shootings in the day period in 2014. Using a statistical model, the study found significant evidence that mass killings involving firearms are incented by similar events in the immediate past. The way it manifests itself is usually a clustering together in time more than you'd expect by mere random chance, Towers said. Towers' study also found that higher gun ownership and availability of firearms in a state was a factor related. If Trump's blaming mental health, why did he got this Obama gun check rule? She agreed with Duwe that, while data did not show a significant upward trend in the frequency mass public shootings from year to year, there is a significant trend upward in casualty count. Meanwhile, Democratic lawmakers have once again renewed their call for gun control following the church shooting, which was the largest mass shooting in Texas history. President Donald Trump said Sunday's church shooting was not a gun situation, but instead a mental health problem. But both Langford and Towers said their work did not show mental health to be a significant factor in their studies. However, firearm ownership was. The National Rifle Association did not immediately respond to request for comment on the Texas church shooting and the increase in severity of deadly mass public shootings. Lack of research. Duwe cautioned that the evidence currently is not there on whether certain gun control measures would significantly reduce the risk of such violence. Part of the problem surrounding the issue of mass public shootings and policy was that there's been so little rigorous research that's been done on the topic that you could look at it from a number of different angles, he noted. Duwe said research was needed on a variety of subjects related to gun violence for it to potentially be possible at some point to develop some kind of strategies that might reduce this type of violence. Towers said there was a lack of research on the issue from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention because of an amendment Congress first added to a spending bill in 1996 that said none of the funds made available for injury prevention and control at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention may be used to advocate or promote gun control. The amendment was widely supported by the NRA. Related, more than 24 killed in rural Texas church shooting. While the language did not specifically prohibit research on gun violence, Congress also redistributed $2.6 million of the CDC's budget, the exact amount which had been invested in previous firearm injury research to focus on prevention of traumatic brain injury. Towers said the move has had a chilling effect on CDC research on the subject. Gun violence is the least researched cause of death, according to a study published this year. CDC spokeswoman Courtney Leonard said in a statement that beginning in fiscal year 1997, the CDC has been subject to appropriations language that states that none of the funds made available to CDC may be used to advocate or promote gun control. Leonard added that this language was extended to all Department of Health and Human Services agencies in fiscal year 2012, but he language does not prohibit CDC from conducting research or collecting public health data on firearm violence, she said. Firearm-related injuries are among the 5 leading causes of death for people ages 1 to 64 in the United States. She added, CDC has and continues to support data collection activities and analyses to document the public health burden of firearm injuries in the U.S. Following the 2016 mass shooting in Orlando, the American Medical Association, AMA, adopted a policy calling gun violence in the U.S. a public health crisis. The AMA also said it resolved to actively lobby Congress to overturn legislation that for 20 years has prohibited the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, from researching gun violence. Towers said that the result of the provision was that the studies that are coming out are relying on private sector funding or scientists putting in the time by themselves. She added that this meant that while the U.S. had the highest prevalence of mass shootings and other gun violence compared to other developed countries, basically we are not publicly funding any kind of research that goes into that. Quote,